Oh, and we're live. We got our social distancing going on. Give it a couple minutes here. Gotta let people pump up here. What's up, Facebook land? Reclaiming Lives Recovery Cafe, Brandon Orr. Today we got something special for you. We're gonna go ahead and do a double header. Right now I got Tommy with us. We're gonna chit chat a little bit with him, talk about where he's at through this COVID-19 little pandemic, and a little bit of testimony of his recovery story. And then, to our great pleasure, we have Matthew Mendenhall with us today as well. He's going to come on after Tommy, and we're going to talk to him. And he's just got such a good heart for this still suffering and recovering addict, and we're going to see a whole nother point of view of his outlook today. And we're just super blessed to have him. But right now, we're going to start with my boy Tommy. What's up, buddy?
What's up, huh?
How's everything going?
Can't complain a bit.
What have you been doing during this COVID-19 pandemic?
Man, I've been doing a lot of stuff. Became a school teacher, a landscaper, a gardener. You know what I mean? Just staying at home with the kids, man, and trying to make the best of it. It's really a blessing, you know, when you sit back and you think about it, because I've learned things about my children that I didn't know. You know, you just when you spend that much time confined with your family, kind of, you know, take out all the distractions in life, you learn a little more about what's going on
and what they're like and what they don't like, how they're really going to react. You know, it's a 24-hour job there. Right. How have you found being a new school teacher is for you? You got a new outlook on the respect of a school teacher?
Yeah, for sure. I am not cut out to be a school teacher. I was telling my wife yesterday that I'm not set up with that patience and the skill set that it takes to do that, you know. But I'm just doing the best I can with it, and yeah, you definitely have a newfound respect for all the little things that people do every day that you may or may not take for granted, or just not even think about, really, you know. It's interesting.
How are they acclimating?
They love it, you know, and it's given us some time just to do some new stuff, you know, teaching them how to play baseball and riding bikes, and, you know, just they think it's like one big summer vacation. I mean, I imagine they have a little bit of cabin fever, you know, but for the most part, I mean, quarantine is good.
So, how many kids are there?
Got my 2 daughters at home.
Yep.
Yeah. My son, he's got his own family going.
Right.
And so
I know you got an older son.
Yeah. Well, I'm a grandpa now, you know. Yeah.
Tell me the grandpa.
Little Lane just turned 1, you know,
nice.
And they're out a lot, so it's good. You know, it's good. It's I feel like it's brought our family closer, so it's good.
You guys doing anything family structured out there at your house during this pandemic? Like more than just school? Like, what all projects have you guys got done as a family together?
Project-wise, we've done some landscaping, some gardening.
They enjoy doing that, pulling weeds?
Yeah. I mean, no. No, you know, I mean it gets done, you know what I mean? The end result is good, right? You get to enjoy it, but yeah, I can't sit here and lie to you and tell you that, yeah, we're stoked about pulling the weeds, but... Right. But, you know, all in all, you know, family dinner time. We've always been structured that way. You know, every night we eat dinner together, and that portion of our life hasn't changed. It's during the day, you know. But now we eat lunch together, we eat breakfast together, we eat all, you know, we do all this stuff.
Have you found that you cook more than you go out now, or has it always been where you cook at the house?
We pretty much always cook at the house. You know, I like to cook. My wife likes to cook.
I like to eat.
Yeah, I don't mind it, as you can see. Yeah.
Well, the reason I asked you here today, first, thanks for sharing that with us. It's pretty neat. I hope you guys out there can find time in your day to do stuff like that with your family instead of sitting inside and seeing the downsides of it, because there's a bunch of positive out there I just don't think people see. The reason I brought you here today, Tommy, is because I personally have got to watch you through not only your recovery but your past life, and I just think your recovery story is just so incredible. Even with your slip up, I think you've done a lot in between both times, and I think it'd just be miraculous to have our viewers hear a little bit about that. You mind sharing a little bit about that with us today?
Absolutely. So I'll just give you the brief rundown here of the highlights. I turned 18.
Go for it.
Okay, sorry. Turned 18 in prison. Got out. Pretty much did the same thing that got me landed in prison. Back to prison. Got out again, and I got clean by accident. That's kind of the way I refer to it. And what I mean by that is when I got out, I got a job. Was in a relationship with somebody that didn't use that, and just kind of did it. Didn't go seeking any kind of recovery. Didn't even acknowledge the fact that I was an addict. In fact, if you would have asked me, I'd have told you I wasn't. That lasted for about 8 years, maybe 9. And because I had no idea what recovery was, or the fact that I guess what I'm saying is I didn't have any education, and that's the way I look at recovery. Recovery is pretty much about educating yourself about how it works, and what you do with that education. Well, that kind of defines your recovery. So what happened to me was that relationship ended, and since I didn't see myself as an addict or have any kind of recovery-based knowledge, it wasn't anything for me to start using again. And within 2 years of me starting to use again, I found myself on my way back to prison yet again. Got out, got in trouble again, starting to see a pattern, right? And pled into drug court. By that time in my life, I was 36, 37 years old, right in there. And this was the first time ever in my life that I'd ever experienced any kind of drug and alcohol counseling, rehabilitation, whatever you care to call it. The idea that I had set in my mind of what drug and alcohol counseling was, or what it might amount to, was simply abstaining from drugs. So maybe some people were going to give me some random UAs, and that was it. I had no idea what I was even signing up for. I was being forced into recovery. I didn't really have the desire to get clean. At this point, I still didn't think I was a drug addict, as crazy as that sounds. And it landed me in a counselor's group here that Mike has.
Yeah, give me a shout out.
Yeah, I landed in Mike Gordon's group. And those of you that have been in that group know exactly what I'm talking about. He is very blunt, very straightforward, and he will open your eyes to a lot of things. So basically what I'd done my entire life was I'd lied to myself. Okay, I had this perception of myself. I had this belief that drugs were not the problem, that I didn't have a problem with drugs. I'd simply just gotten caught a couple times, and that's what that man did for me. Is he gave me the ability to quit lying to myself. He said, it's fine if you want to lie to everybody else, but you're lying to yourself and it's destroying you. And I didn't get it. I didn't get it for a while. It's not like a light bulb just turned on one day. But what he did is he started this seed that forced me to really take a look at who I was and what I was doing and how it affected people around me, which I want to say I was oblivious to, but the fact is I really didn't care. I had said in his group one day, that my kids, that I loved them very much, my son at the time, and they were enough to keep me clean. And he was like, you're a liar. And in that moment, it brought a little bit of clarity to me, because if that statement in itself had been true, I probably wouldn't have went to prison all these times. I wouldn't have struggled with all the things. And when I started really unraveling all these things and being honest with myself and where this path had taken me, it started to give me some clarity to the person I actually was and the person that I really wanted to be. And, and I call it,
Come on.
Lying by oblivion. Okay, what that means is if you choose to be oblivious to something and you're able to say, oh, I didn't know, well, it's a lot easier to lie to yourself about it, but it's all the same, you know? So when I sat down and I really took a look at what drugs and criminal activity and all the different things in my life had taken away that was good versus the things that they brought to my life that I might have thought was worth it, it was clear to see that I probably had an issue with drugs. You know, I did have an issue with drugs. I do still. And you have to know that something's wrong in order to change it, right? And then from there, you know, in my mind, it came down to a series of choices, you know, was risk and reward, if you will. And I started to make healthier decisions. Now, keep in mind, I was in drug court, so they tell you what your recovery looks like. And they structure it for you. So they you know, you go to a certain amount of NA groups and you go to these intensive outpatient groups, and based on that and what I really started to learn, and I started to develop skills to mend some of the relationships with my family and my son and be a better parent and a better husband and all these different things, you know, granted, I was jumping through the hoops, but you couldn't help but learn some stuff along the way. And from that, I took, you know, some things forward into my recovery today, and I left some things behind. You know, some of the stuff was for me and some of it wasn't. And I don't believe that there's any right or wrong way to go about recovery if it's working for you. You know, that's pretty much where I'm at today. I try to live my life by being honest with myself. And it's not always the easiest thing. And by no means have I perfected this, but I'm conscious of it. And I try to make decisions. I've worked a lot on my empathy. And I believe that all those other things, the empathy, the decision making, all these things are directly related to not lying to yourself. And that's what I structure my recovery off of. You know, every decision that I go to make, I do my best to think about how it's going to affect my family, what it's going to mean for me in the future. Is it worth it? And do my best to make the right call.
Right.
And you know, one of the things that I didn't like about recovery, and I still don't, is you hear people say, well, if you don't do this or that, then you're going to fail and you're going to relapse at some point, and it's all this doom and gloom scenarios, you know. And I never wanted to be that person. I never wanted to give anybody that advice because, you know, I mean, who am I to say what works for you, you know? And I didn't like it when it was force-fed to me. And with that being said, I'm not saying that my style of dealing with this is even going to work. You know, it's still in clinical trial, I guess, you know. But as it stands right now, I'm 2.5 years clean. And I feel good about my life. I feel good about the decisions I made. And I think I'm moving in the right direction, you know.
So I'm going to stop right there for you real quick. And I just want to say that not only was that powerful, but it was truthful. And that's one thing about you, Tommy, that I love more than anything is that you don't sugarcoat anything and you're going to tell it exactly how it is for you. So thank you for that. There's one thing that I want to add that Doug brought up yesterday too, that you and your wife were a huge part of in your recovery. And that was Oxford, right? Like I told Stephanie today that the way you and Doug structuralized mentorship within Oxford really was really significant to the way I want to live my life today in helping people. What was that like for you?
So that was one of the stipulations of the drug court is I got sent to Oxford. I went there kicking and screaming. I did not want to go. I did not like the idea of living with 7 other men. You know, I mean, I had, you know, this is me, you know, being me. I had my own set agenda. I'm going to go get my own place. I'm going to do it my way. Kind of got an issue with authority, for those of you who don't know me. And so I went there with, you know, thinking this is going to be terrible. I can't imagine living with 7 men. I don't, you know, I just completely negative going in. My friend Eric actually, he took me to the very first Oxford house I ever went to, and I was fresh in drug court. He pulled up on the side of the street. I was standing on the sidewalk in front of where I was staying. He says, "What are you doing, man?" And I said, "Well, I think I'm going to prison." And he was like, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, I pled into drug court," and you know, and I gave him the rundown, and I said, "I just, I don't think I can do this, man. I don't think I can do it." He said, "Get in the car," and he took me over to Siskiyou Oxford House. Met a few of the guys, and he said, "Why don't you just give it a shot? You know, you stay here on the couch. It's got to be better than where you're at." I was living with a family member that was actively getting loaded. That's where they sent me. Of course, they didn't realize that's where they were sending me, and I didn't say anything because I was ready to get out of jail. So they could have sent me anywhere, and I would have went. I was still clean at that point. And I got there and it was good. You know, I seen people trying to help people, and it really wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And Eric and I had been friends for a while, and some of the other guys that lived there, we became pretty close. And I thought, this is all right. You know, this is all right. And then Panda came, and
love you, Panda, if you're out there watching.
Man, I love you to pieces, bro. And he was in Mike Gordon's group with me, and everybody knew I stayed on the couch. I stayed on the couch there about 4 months. Guys didn't want me to leave. I didn't want to leave, but you know, I needed to. Might have needed my own room by this point. And I interviewed for Jackson House. They accepted me, and I declined them. I was like, no, I don't want to leave the guys in Siskiyou.
Right.
You know, and
that brotherhood bond, man.
Well, it was just cool, you know, and I wasn't sure it was going to be cool somewhere else, but you know, and then I started thinking about it, so I went back over there again and ended up moving into Jackson House. Seen the way it worked. It was really good for me to be around people that were doing the right thing, because pretty much everybody in my life at that point wasn't. So it gave me, you know, it gave me some social aspects of life that were positive outside of these groups. And those guys in that house, still to this day, are some of my best friends. They, you know, we've all went through our trials and tribulations since. But throughout being there with them, Alex and I, we opened Mount Pitt.
Mount Pitt?
Yeah. Did a few houses actually, and a lot of us were chapter officers in that house, and I just started to get more and more involved. Alex at the time was chair, and I liked it, you know, because that's the way that I wanted to get back to the community. I didn't ever want to be the guy telling you, you know, hey, you had to do this, this, and this, or it was all going to come apart, and it was all this doom and gloom. I just wanted to give you a resource and a place to be that was safe, and try to give, you know, people maybe some education on basic life skills, how to pay their bills, how to, whatever it took. You know, I just felt like it was being part of the solution instead of part of the problem, and it was all positive.
Right.
You know, we got to deliver. You know, I guess there's some negative aspects to it. You know, once in a while you'd have to serve a notice, but you know, I was pretty much always that guy that tried to avoid all that at all costs. You know. And it was good, you know, one of the best experiences really in my life. I'm super grateful I went there, super grateful they made me go. Like I said, some of those men today are those are the closest friends I have in my life. And,
you know, Tommy, like, I just thank you, and I want to thank you personally. I'm right here, even on air. I remember when I went to my first chapter meeting, over at the Riverdale house, and I seen your car out there, and I'm like, whoa, Tommy's there. And then you walked in, and I shook your hand, and I seen Ben, and I'm like, whoa, dude, like, if these guys are doing this, then I can do this, right? Like, so what it was for me is you were an inspiration, and I thank you. You know,
it's my pleasure.
It was really, really awesome to have you here today. Your story is real powerful. If and when we get this podcast up, and not if and when we get the podcast up, I'd like to have you on again.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do it. You know.
I just think that your story is so powerful, and there's just so much more to it, you guys. Like, he dumbed that down so good. So, if there's anything you want to give to any inspiration to these viewers out there.
I mean, all I can tell you is whatever you're willing to change, you're capable to change. I've seen some amazing people come out of this thing. There's one sitting right behind me. That are in just the cornerstones of this thing. That and any of you out there that knew me and knew Brandon, my mind would be blown if you were watching this thing. What has happened right now? I mean, it's some of the staples of the Ark, and I've known all those guys for many years, and I still just sit back and I look at it sometimes, and I listen to their groups or whatever it is, and what an inspiration, man! Like, what truly an inspiration. Some of these guys, I can't even believe they're alive, let alone helping other people stay alive.
Right.
Like, it's so when you just be honest with yourself, man. Take your true inventory of yourself. Worry about your own business.
Stay in your own lane.
Yeah, man. Stay out of other folks' business. Keep it real with yourself, and then work on not lying to other people. I don't know, but it starts with yourself. Like for real. Look at what is really good for you, and surround your people. Albert told me one time, he said, surround yourself with people that are doing what you want to be doing. People that got what you're after. And that's always stuck with me, and that's another one of those guys right there.
AG?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just seen him right before I came here. I told him I was just getting ready to go talk about it, so I don't feel bad about saying your name. But, it's always been real. He's never looked down his nose at me, and it's not the way to be with any of these people. Just understand it, understand it, because the fact that he's never that way with me is what enables me to always be honest with him. It doesn't matter what I tell him. If it's good or bad, he's got the same amount of respect for me because I always kept it real with him. Yeah. And once you're able to finally keep it real with yourself and look at the person you are, make the necessary changes to become the man or woman that you want to be, that's truly being free, I believe.
Well, Tommy, I consider you a friend, and I'm really proud that we're proud of you, and I'm super proud that you got to come on the show today. You guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. We're gonna be on with Matthew Mendenhall, so be prepared for another live in about 7 minutes. All right, you guys. God bless. You need to finish, bud. Right there in the right hand.